Welcome to Shadowed Tales Archive. Tonight's story is titled, It Watches Through Windows. Let the Shadows Speak. Part 1. Third floor left window. I haven't slept properly in 4 nights. It started with a shape in the window across from mine. Just a shadow, a darker patch against the already dark glass of an abandoned building. I told myself it was nothing, that the way the streetlight flickered below was playing tricks on me. But every night since, it's been there. Same window, same time, same stillness. At first, I didn't even notice it. You don't really look at the 3rd floor of a warehouse when you're washing dishes at midnight. But once I did, I couldn't unsee it. And now I dread nightfall. I live alone in a cheap apartment complex on the east edge of Caraway, a town nobody moves to unless they're broke or hiding. Mine's the kind of place where you hear your neighbor's microwave beep through the wall, and the guy upstairs is always wearing work boots, even at 2 a.m. But across the narrow street from me is something older. A factory warehouse that shut down back in 2007 when they found asbestos in the insulation and something about missing inventory the company never explained. It's a squat, brick corpse of a building with broken windows and rusted steel doors. Kids used to dare each other to break in back when I was in high school. Most of them never made it past the loading dock. In one of its 3rd floor windows, leftmost, facing my unit, isn't broken. Not shattered, not even dusty. It's clean. Too clean. I don't know why that bothers me more than anything else. The first time I saw the thing, whatever it is, I thought it was a mannequin. Maybe an old display dummy someone had set up as a prank. I mean, it didn't move. It didn't blink. Just stood there, backlit by nothing, like the outline of a person with 2 long arms and a neck that bent slightly sideways, like it had never learned how to be human. That first night, I watched it for almost an hour. I didn't even realize how much time had passed until my phone buzzed and made me jump. I went to bed that night telling myself I'd imagined it. The next night, it was there again, and the next, and the next. But last night, it moved, just a little. A tilt of the head, enough to make me drop the cup I was holding. I didn't go near the window after that. I pulled the curtains and turned every light in the apartment on, like I was 5 years old again and afraid of the dark corners of my closet. I'm a grown man. I work a real job. I don't believe in ghosts or monsters or watchers. But that window, that 3rd floor left window, it's looking back at me. I've been trying to act normal. I still go to work. I still make coffee in the mornings. I talk to people like everything's fine. But at night, when the sun dips behind the West Hill and the shadows start leaking from alleys, I find myself back at the window. Tonight, I didn't even mean to look. I was brushing my teeth and caught a glimpse in the mirror. It's closer. I don't mean the window. It's always the same distance. But the thing in the window, it's closer to the glass, almost pressing against it. I can make out more detail now. The head isn't shaped right. It's too narrow, and its arms hang wrong, like they're being pulled from behind. And the eyes, or where eyes should be, there's just dim, cloudy sockets, like cataracts in a corpse that forgot how to rot. I'm writing this now with every light in my apartment on. I don't care about the electric bill. I can't sleep. I can't look away for too long, either. Every time I do, I feel it knows. Not just that I'm watching, but that I've seen it, and I'm starting to wonder if that matters. Because tonight, for the first time, it didn't vanish when the sun rose. Part 2. The Things That Stay. I didn't sleep. Again, when the sun rose this morning, I forced myself to pull the curtains and check. It was gone. The window was empty. That 3rd floor glass pane, the one that's never been broken, never dusty, always too clean, was just a square of pale morning light. But I couldn't convince myself I'd imagined it. Not after last night. Because when I walked away from the window, something followed. Not footsteps, not noise, just a feeling, like a weight being dragged behind my ribs. I couldn't shake it, couldn't eat, couldn't stop looking back over my shoulder like I was walking away from something that refused to stay put. I called in sick to work. It's not the first time. I've had episodes before, insomnia, anxiety, Whatever term helps people pretend a mind isn't just a thin wall away from collapsing. But this felt different. This wasn't me unraveling. This was something watching while I did. Around noon, I left the apartment. I needed sunlight, noise, people, anything that wasn't the creak of floorboards or the hum of the fridge or that goddamn window across the street. The city doesn't care about your paranoia. Life keeps moving even when your stall's out. But as I walked down Hawthorne Avenue, past shuttered laundromats and boarded-up bakeries, I noticed something strange. Everyone was walking fast, faster than usual. No one lingered on the sidewalk. Nobody looked up. I passed 3 different people on my block, and not a single one made eye contact. One guy crossed the street as I approached like I was leaking something invisible. And then I noticed her, an old woman sitting on a broken bench outside the pharmacy. Wrinkled coat, thick scarf despite the heat, and a pair of enormous dark sunglasses covering most of her face. She wasn't moving, not reading, not looking at anything, just sitting, facing the same direction I had come from, toward my apartment. I almost didn't stop, but something about the way her head tilted as I passed. It wasn't curiosity. It wasn't fear. It was recognition. She knew. I asked if she needed help. She didn't answer. Just lifted one hand, a slow, tremoring gesture, and pointed behind me. At the warehouse. I turned to look. The brick building stood there, still as ever. But this time, I noticed something else. The second window. Not the 3rd floor left one, but the one next to it. Also clean. Also closed. And something dark was pressed against the inside of the glass. When I turned back to ask her what she saw, the bench was empty. No footprints, no cane, no trace she'd ever been there. Just a scrap of cloth lying on the concrete, snagged on a nail from a bench. When I picked it up, it was soft and discolored. Faded embroidery in the corner read one word in script. Don't. I went home before sunset. I didn't want to be on the street when the lights came on. Something about twilight feels thin now. Like the air between me and whatever's watching gets thinner. Easier to see through. Easier to reach. I didn't even look out the window. I just locked my door, pulled the shades, and turned the lights on. But as I passed the bathroom mirror, something made me stop. For a fraction of a second, no more than a blink, I thought I saw a shape behind me. Not in the room, in the reflection. Something standing in the hallway, just out of frame, leaning like it didn't understand how to hold itself upright. When I spun around, the hallway was empty. But the mirror had fogged slightly, like something had breathed against the glass. I haven't used hot water all day. I'm writing this now with the lights still on. I don't care that it's 2 a.m. I haven't looked out the window, but I know it's there, and I'm starting to think it's not just watching anymore. It's waiting. Part 3. The names on the wall. I don't know how to start this without sounding insane. I spent most of the day on the floor, sitting against the hallway wall with every light in the apartment on, holding my phone with both hands like it could protect me. I hadn't checked outside, hadn't dared to look across the street, but I could feel it, that same pressure, like I was being stared at by something that didn't need eyes. I tried calling people, my sister, my friend Jenna, even my old boss, just to hear a voice that didn't echo off these walls. No one picked up. By afternoon, I broke. I had to do something. Sitting here was worse than fear. It was like drowning in silence. So I went back across the street. Yeah, I know how that sounds. But something in me, some cracked logic or half-dream memory, said, it started at that warehouse. It ends there too. I brought a flashlight and a crowbar. And before I could talk myself out of it, I crossed the road and stepped onto the broken pavement of the old warehouse lot. The main entrance was chained shut, same as always. A steel padlock held rusted links together like a warning. But the side door, the one near the dumpster half buried behind overgrown weeds, had no chain. It just creaked open. The inside was worse than I imagined. Cold despite the warm spring day. Not musty, not moldy, just sterile. Like the air had been filtered through something that didn't want anything organic left behind. Dust lay in untouched layers across everything, except for one set of footprints. Bare, human-shaped, leading from the entrance toward the back hallway. I followed them. I know, I shouldn't have. The hall was lined with broken office windows, glass scattered like brittle snow. Every door I passed was cracked, open slightly. But nothing stirred, except my reflection. In one of the office mirrors, I saw myself. But not quite. The figure in the glass was me, but too thin, too pale, and something was wrong with the mouth. It looked like it was smiling, but I wasn't. I stepped back, and the reflection kept smiling for half a second too long. I ran. At the end of the hallway was a stairwell, rusted and reeking of metal and damp concrete. I should have left then, but something was pulling me forward, some wrong kind of gravity. Up 2 flights, 3rd floor, left wing. I knew exactly where I was headed. The hallway at the top was darker. Windows boarded up, except for one. You know which one? The clean one. The one that looks directly into my apartment. I could see it from this side now, illuminated by the faint gray of overcast daylight. The glass looked new. No cracks, no dust. The frame was pristine, and written on the wall beside it, scratched into the paint in uneven lines, were names. Dozens. Some carved deep, some shallow, all in different handwriting. Most unreadable, but one caught my eye. M. Davis, 2009. It knows when you know. The next said, Tina L., 2014. I made eye contact. Mistake. And another, shakier. Isaac, 2021. Still watching. I stepped back. My foot crunched something on the floor. It was a small, cracked photo frame. Inside was a Polaroid, black and white, of what looked like a shadow standing in a 3rd floor window. The same one I was staring through now. The caption scribbled on the bottom read. She saw it too. Something behind me creaked. I turned, but the hallway was empty. Empty, except for a slow, dragging smear on the floor leading away from me. Wet. Recent. I didn't follow. I left. Ran really. Didn't stop until I slammed my apartment door and locked it. Twice. It's after midnight now. I can't sleep. I can't stop thinking about the wall of names. Some of them were scratched out. Not all, just a few. Erased almost. Like someone didn't want them to be remembered. And I can't help wondering, was one of them mine? I just hadn't added it yet. Part 4. The man who boarded his eyes. I must have passed out at some point. Not really sleeping, just losing time. 1 second I was curled up in bed with my hoodie pulled over my head like it could block out the whole world. The next, it was evening again. Light fading. Shadows stretching like they were reaching for something. I didn't remember falling asleep, but I dreamed. In the dream, I was standing in my own apartment, only everything was mirrored. Left was right. The couch faced the wrong direction. My lamp was on the ceiling. My reflection stood in the window. Except it wasn't me. It had my face, but something was off. The smile was too wide. The skin too flat. Like it had been trying to remember how to look like a person and got lazy halfway through. It raised its hand and pointed at me. Then the glass shattered, and I woke up. There was blood on my palm. I must have clenched my fist in my sleep so hard that my nails broke skin. Or maybe it was something else. I didn't feel pain until I saw it. The moment I noticed the blood, the panic set in. I needed answers. Anything. A voice that wasn't mine. So I did what no one does anymore. I knocked on a neighbor's door. Mrs. Karpinski, 3rd unit from the stairwell. She's lived here longer than anyone. 70-something. Wears slippers everywhere. Talks to pigeons like they're family. She answered after 6 knocks. Didn't say anything. Just stared at me with one milky eye and one sharper than it had any right to be. I need to ask you something, I said, trying to sound normal. About the warehouse across the street. She didn't blink. You've seen it, haven't you? She whispered. I froze. Her voice wasn't accusing. It was resigned, like I had just confirmed something she'd spent years trying to forget. She let me in. Her apartment was cluttered. Every surface held framed pictures, none with people in them. Just trees, walls, empty roads, corners of rooms. No faces, no mirrors. She offered tea. I said no. She sat on a threadbare armchair and lit a cigarette without asking. They used to call it the watching place, she said, back when this town still had rumors. When we still whispered things we weren't supposed to know. What is it? I asked. What's in there? She shook her head slowly. It's not in there, she said. It is there. The building is part of it. Like a shell. A crust. I didn't understand. People used to disappear, she said. Not all at once. One by one. Not just gone. They change first. Stop talking. Start avoiding windows. Cover mirrors. Some scratch their own eyes out. I swallowed hard. She looked straight at me then. One man, she whispered, boarded his windows from the inside and nailed his own eyelids shut. They say he died smiling. I couldn't speak. The more you look, she continued, the more it knows you. Not just who you are, but where you are. What you fear. What face to wear. Face. I echoed. It doesn't have one, she said. It uses yours. That night, I threw every blanket I had over the windows, taped the edges down, turned my mirrors around, put my TV screen face down. Even my phone stayed off, but it wasn't enough, because now it was in my dreams, behind my shoulder, in my breathing, and the moment I start to drift off, I hear it. Not footsteps, not words, just wheezing, low, ragged, like lungs that forgot how to breathe. I haven't slept in nearly 2 days now. But I've been drawing. I don't remember when I started, but I found pages on my floor this morning. Sketches of its body, its eyes, its arms. Pages and pages. The last one was just a mirror, with my face, smiling. Part 5. What the mirror remembers. I woke up in the hallway again. No idea how I got there. My apartment door was locked from the inside. My lights were on. My curtains still sealed shut with duct tape, but I was lying in the middle of the hallway floor, on my back, arms crossed over my chest like I'd been placed there, like someone or something had arranged me. And worse, I was smiling. I didn't even notice at first, not until I checked my reflection in the microwave door. My lips were curled slightly upward, not wide, just enough to be wrong. Like my face was stuck between pretending to be fine and forgetting how. I rushed to the bathroom and stared into the mirror. Same expression, but the rest of the reflection didn't match me. The shirt I was wearing in the mirror had no stain on the collar. My hands looked thinner, bones showing more sharply beneath the skin. My eyes weren't red from lack of sleep. In a glass, I looked better than I felt. Healthier, more alert, even peaceful, almost like someone had replaced me and made subtle improvements. I turned the mirror to face the wall, but that image stayed with me, not just in memory, in feeling. It was like a double exposed photo layered over my vision, like it had seen what I should look like and was trying to show me what it preferred. I didn't draw that day. I etched. With a dull key, I scraped a series of faces into the underside of my kitchen table, each one closer to mine than the last. The final one had no eyes, just empty sockets, and a mouth that stretched too far. I tried to call my sister again. This time, she picked up. Miles, she said groggy. It's like 3 in the morning. I just need you to tell me something, I said quickly. When's my birthday? A pause. What? My birthday. Please, just say it. August 18th. What? I stared at the calendar on my wall, the one that said it was October. I think I'm losing time, I whispered. Another pause. Are you okay? I saw myself in the mirror, I said, and I wasn't wearing the same clothes. I looked rested, calm. I think it's replacing me in pieces. Miles, listen to me. Have you seen anything? I asked, out of the corner of your eye. Anything in the windows? She hung up. I checked my voicemails later. The first was from her. A single word. Don't. The second was silence, except for a faint wheezing, like breath that had been dragged across broken glass. I found a folder this evening in my closet, labeled August 18th, Hospital in black marker. I don't remember putting it there. Inside, 2 wristbands, both with my name, different admission dates, 2 sets of discharge papers, one for a mild concussion, the other for sleep paralysis and episodic hallucinations. I have no memory of either visit, but there was a Polaroid tucked between them. Me in a hospital gown, staring into a bathroom mirror, and behind me, barely visible in the glare, was a tall figure, bent, watching from the corner of the room. That window on the third floor? It doesn't just watch. It remembers. It reflects. It replicates. And I think it's been inside longer than I realized. Part 6. The Double That Speaks. I was at the corner store tonight when the cashier greeted me like she'd already seen me today. "Back again," she said with a tired smile. "Did you forget something?" I hadn't left the apartment all day. I hadn't been to that store in almost a week. I stared at her. She stared back, and something changed in her eyes, like she saw something slip in my expression, like she suddenly wasn't sure who she was talking to. I left without buying anything. When I got back home, I checked my door lock, still bolted from the inside. That night, I did something reckless. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror with the lights off and my phone flashlight under my chin, and I asked out loud, "Are you me?" There was no sound, no flicker, no jump scare, but I watched. I swear I watched. My reflection blinked before I did, just by half a second. That's all, but enough. I've stopped trusting anything with glass. TV, phone screen, oven door, shower panel, even my laptop screen, all covered now. I tape towels over them, or turn them to face the wall. But there are still reflections. In puddles, in doorknobs, in someone else's sunglasses. And every now and then, just for a second, I see it watching through those too, like it's testing new doorways, like it's wondering how small a surface it can step through. This morning, someone left an envelope outside my door. No address, no postage, just my name, scrawled in black marker, shaky handwriting, like written in a moving car or by someone afraid. Inside were 3 items: a key, a receipt from a diner 3 towns over, and a sticky note that simply read, "They remember your face. You were there, but I wasn't. I've never been to that diner. Or maybe I have. Maybe he has." I called the number on the receipt. A woman answered. She sounded old, warm. "Hey there," she said, like she was expecting me. "Ma'am," I said, my voice shaking. "I think someone is pretending to be me." There was a pause. Then, gently, "Sweetheart, are you still pretending you don't remember?" Click. Dial tone. I think I know what it's doing now. It's not just copying me. It's rehearsing me, showing up in places, trying out conversations, building a version that will pass. I keep thinking about the thing in the mirror, the one that blinked before me. What if that was the draft? What if what I'm seeing now, the mistaken greetings, the diner receipt, the photos I don't remember posing for, are just test runs? It's refining, improving, replacing. And here's the part one can't stop replaying. What if someone sees him on the street and thinks it's me? What if they wave? What if he waves back? What if one day I knock on my sister's door and she opens it and says, "You're already inside"? Part 7. The Life That Isn't Yours. My sister won't return my messages, not even read receipts now. I tried calling from a payphone near the overpass, figured maybe the number was being watched or mirrored or something I can't explain. A man picked up. I knew her voice. I know what she sounds like. This wasn't her, but the voice said in a calm, gentle tone, "Miles can't come to the phone right now. He's resting." Click. No static. No goodbye. Just him. Using my name. I went to her house the next day. Took the back roads. I don't remember driving there. Honestly, I don't remember even grabbing my keys. All I know is one moment I was staring out the kitchen window, and the next I was standing on her porch with the doorknob in my hand. The door opened before I knocked, and she was there, smiling. "Hey," she said, like nothing had happened, like she hadn't ignored every call, every message. I just stared. "It's okay," she said. "We talked about this already." She stepped aside to let me in, but I didn't move, because behind her, sitting on the couch, sipping coffee from the chipped mug I bought her last Christmas, was me. He didn't flinch, didn't react, just looked up and offered me that same faint, neutral smile I'd seen in the mirror 2 nights ago. The smile that stretched just a little too wide, the eyes that didn't quite blink right. "Hey," he said, like he knew me. like he was me. I backed away. My sister frowned. "Where are you going?" I opened my mouth, closed it. My throat was dry. He stood up. He was wearing my hoodie, the one with the torn cuff, my jeans, my scuffed boots, every detail perfect, except his posture, too smooth, too fluid, like a puppet that learned how to mimic breathing. I ran. I drove until my gas light came on, slept in the backseat of my car in a Walmart parking lot. Every reflective surface was covered in fast food bags and a ripped t-shirt. I kept seeing myself in every shadow, every car window that passed, every stranger who glanced just a little too long. This morning, I got a text from my own number. Just one sentence. "You don't belong anymore." I'm not sure who I am. I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean it logistically. I tried logging into my accounts. Passwords changed. My ID, gone. The bank says my account has been closed. I walked to the leasing office for my building, asked for a copy of my file. The woman behind the desk smiled like I was joking. She said my unit had been vacant for weeks. I asked for the name on the lease. She tilted her head. "Sorry, sir," she said. "We don't have anyone named Miles Davis living here." I went back anyway, to the apartment. My apartment. The key didn't work, and when I knocked, a man opened the door. Not me. Not him. Just a stranger. "Can I help you?" he asked, confused. I couldn't answer. I turned around, walked until I couldn't feel my feet anymore. I'm in an abandoned house now. Some foreclosed place on the edge of town. No mirrors. No windows that haven't been shattered already. I sleep on the floor. I eat whatever I can steal. And I wait. Not for him. Not for answers. But for the moment when even I forget who I was. And only one of us is left. Part 8. The place without reflection. I found a basement beneath an abandoned church outside town. No electricity. No plumbing. Just cracked concrete walls, olden books, and the smell of mildew clinging to the dark. It's perfect. No windows. No mirrors. No screens. A place without reflections. A place it can't follow. I think. The first few hours here felt right. Like I'd finally stepped outside the game. Like I'd broken a rule it didn't expect. I wrote on the wall in chalk I found in the storage room upstairs. If IT can't see me, IT can't be me. That's been my mantra for 3 nights now. I sleep during the day. The darkness here is complete. No way for light to twist into a face. No way for shadows to pose as bodies. I eat cold cans of soup and speak aloud every few hours just to hear a voice that's still mine. So far, nothing has followed. But that's the problem with things that copy you. They don't need to chase. They just need to wait. Today, I started testing my memory. I asked myself, what was my mother's middle name? I couldn't remember. What color was my childhood bike? Nothing came. What's my sister's laugh sound like? Silence. I tried to write it down, but my hand froze halfway through. Like it didn't recognize the question. There was something carved into the underside of a pew upstairs. I found it while pacing to stay warm. Scratched in jagged lines, like from a nail. He watched through mirrors until he found a door. What if this place isn't safe? Not because it has reflections, but because I brought one with me. I checked my backpack earlier. Inside was a compact mirror. I don't own one. I don't even remember packing it. But there it was, resting on top of the cans, face down, as if hiding. I didn't touch it. I left it on the pew, closed tight, and sat across the room. Watching. It hasn't moved, but I swear I heard breathing coming from it. Soft. Familiar. Like my own. I keep hearing a sound at night now. Not footsteps. Not whispers. Something slower. Like a person crawling. One elbow at a time. Dragging their weight over stone. I've boarded the stairwell. I've locked the door from the inside. But there are no locks on memories. No bolts on doubt. And that's the thing about being replaced. You don't know it's happened until someone else remembers what you've forgotten. I found a photo under my pillow this morning. Black and white. Faded. A boy in a backyard. His face is blurred, as if the camera couldn't decide who he was. On the back, written in tiny print, one of you always was. Part 9. The echo that breathed first. There's a crack in the wall above my bed. I didn't notice it before, but last night I swear I saw light slipping through it. Not daylight, not even moonlight. A kind of pale, pulsing glow like breath held behind a door, waiting to exhale. I haven't looked in a mirror in over 6 days, but I keep seeing my face in dreams. Not in glass, in water, in walls, in the air itself. Sometimes it speaks, sometimes it just watches. But last night, it asked me a question. Do you remember which of us opened the door first? That question has been ringing in my skull all day. I've started flipping through old journals I don't recall writing. Half the entries begin the same way. He thinks he's the original. He still doesn't know. I almost believed it too. None of them are signed. Some are my handwriting. Some aren't quite right. Like someone practiced writing like me, but never got past the imitation. I found a page with a diagram. It looked like a loop, a sequence. It watches, it learns, it enters, it replaces, it forgets, it becomes. At the center of the loop, one word was circled 3 times. Echo. There's something about that word I can't shake. I used to think I was being haunted, followed. But what if I'm the echo? What if I'm not the first voice in the room? What if I'm a response? The after image? The consequence? The crack in the wall widened today. I put my ear against it, and I heard breathing. Not mine. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't monstrous. It was measured, calm, like someone waiting patiently for me to finish unraveling. I went back upstairs for the compact mirror. It was open. The glass wasn't reflective anymore. It was black, not shattered, not cloudy, just pure, empty black. And for the first time, I saw movement in it. Not mine, his. He was standing where I stood, holding the mirror, looking into me. And I swear, he sighed. I dropped the mirror, but the image didn't vanish. It stayed, hovering above the shattered glass like a projection that no longer needed a screen. And then I saw it. The version of me that I never wanted to see. Not twisted, not evil, just corrected. Smoother skin, straighter posture, clearer eyes, no scars, no cracks, no fear. A face not haunted but hollow. And then it spoke, with my voice, but perfectly steady. You never asked why it watches. It's not to learn, it's to remember, because one of us always forgets. I tried to scream, but he raised a finger, and my throat closed. Not from pain, from absence, from silence being forced into me like water into lungs. He smiled and whispered, "Sleep now. I'll carry it better this time." I woke up back in the basement. No mirror, no crack, no memory of how I returned. But the chalk on the wall had changed. It no longer read, "If IT can't see me, IT can't be me." Now it said, "I see you," in my handwriting. But I never wrote that, did I? Part 10. The Loop That Wears a Face. The mornings don't come in order anymore. Yesterday, I watched the sunrise. Today, I woke to rain tapping on the basement ceiling like fingers drumming impatiently. Tomorrow? I don't think tomorrow exists here. Not really. I found a note in my pocket today. I don't remember writing it, but it's in my handwriting. Sort of. Let finish the loop. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in the reflection. That phrase echoed in my head all day. The loop. I've seen it drawn, whispered in dreams, written behind my eyelids. But today I lived it. It started with a knock at the basement door. 3 slow taps, then silence. Then again, 3 taps. I didn't answer. I waited. Eventually, it stopped. I thought that was the end of it. But when I turned around, there it was. My apartment. My old apartment. Perfectly reconstructed, down to the ticking of the crooked wall clock and the hum of the refrigerator. Even the coffee stain on the kitchen tile I never scrubbed out. I blinked, and I was sitting on the couch, wearing my hoodie, phone in hand, watching the window, the 3rd floor window across the street, the clean one, the one that always watched back. I stood, walked to the glass, pulled the curtain aside, and I saw myself, outside, looking up, same clothes, same face, but he didn't move, didn't wave, just watched, exactly the way I had. I blinked again, and I was outside, looking up at myself in the window. And now the roles were reversed. I was the one in the cold, watching the man in the warmth. The copy, the mirror, and when he tilted his head slightly, so did I, but not on purpose, like a puppet pulled by an unseen hand. The loop reset. I blinked, and I was back inside, then outside, then inside, then outside, each version a little more out of sync. One time I looked older. One time I wasn't wearing shoes. One time I was smiling and didn't know why. One time, I didn't blink. Eventually, the loop broke. The window shattered. I screamed, not in pain, but from the sound of glass remembering every reflection it ever held. It was a scream made of faces. And somewhere in that noise, I heard my own voice say, "You were the echo." From the start, I woke on the basement floor again, dust in my throat, my arms crossed over my chest, like someone had arranged me there, like he had, and the compact mirror was back, open, face down, breathing. I'm not alone in this body anymore. I feel him, not just beside me, inside, like a memory I never had, humming under my skin, waiting, coiled, and every time I blink, I see his eyes, not mine. Part 11. The Final Witness. I'm not sure how long I've been here. The basement's darker now, not from lack of light, but because the shadows are thicker, heavier, like they're being pulled inward towards something waiting to be born. Last night, I heard my name whispered, not shouted, not cried, whispered, lovingly, like a parent waking their child for the first day of school. I sat up, and he was sitting at the edge of the mattress. The other me, Miles 2.0, Miles without the cracks, Miles who didn't flinch when the lights flickered. He looked at me the way you look at a photograph of yourself as a kid. Warm, detached, done. I'm ready, he said. For what? I asked. He smiled. To stop being your reflection. He stood and walked across the room, barefoot, silent, toward the cracked mirror I had smashed days ago. It had reformed, somehow, like glass pulled back together by memory. He placed a hand on it, and for a moment, I felt the cold of that glass on my own palm. We were connected, like synapses on opposite sides of a dying thought. I know you don't remember the beginning, he said, but I do. He turned to face me. I watched. For years. You never looked back. That's not true, I said. I saw you. That night. The third floor window. He shook his head gently. No, he said. That wasn't me. That was the one before me. My knees gave out. I sank to the floor. This has happened before? I asked. He nodded. We always watch. We always learn. We always take our turn. And the real me? I asked. The original? He knelt beside me. There never was one. I don't know how long we sat there. Two copies. Two masks. Two sides of the same echo. He reached into the pocket of his hoodie, pulled out a folded piece of paper. I wrote this, he said, when I was still inside you, before I separated. He handed it to me. I opened it. One sentence. Break the mirror from the inside. It didn't make sense until I looked down at my hands and realized they were starting to fade, like the memory of a dream by noon, like a name you almost remembered but never quite caught. He stood, walked back to the mirror, placed his hand against it again, and this time it gave. The glass bent inward like liquid, and he stepped through. Now I'm alone again, except I'm not, because he's out there, living my life, wearing my smile, answering my phone, dreaming dreams I don't get to have anymore. But there's still a way. The note said so. Break the mirror from the inside, which means I have to go in. The mirror's still here, whole, waiting. It breathes when I touch it. It's worn now, like skin, like invitation, like trap. If I go in, maybe I end the cycle. Or maybe I just become part of the glass. One more face in the background, stuck watching through the window forever. But if I stay out here, I fade, and no one will ever know I was real. So I'm leaving this behind. This journal, this record, whoever finds it, if anyone ever does, please remember this. If you see someone who looks like you, too much like you, walk away. Don't ask questions. Don't blink. and for the love of whatever's left in this world, don't look in the mirror. Part 12. The Ending Echo. I woke up this morning in a bed I don't recognize. White sheets, neutral walls, a single window, 3rd floor, left side, facing an abandoned brick warehouse. There's a knock at the door, 3 times, soft, deliberate. I don't answer. I just sit here, listening to the hum of electricity in the walls and the pulse in my ears that doesn't feel like mine. I think I've been here before. I just can't remember when, or who I was then, or if that version of me ever made it out. I find a journal on the nightstand. It's old, leather-bound. Inside are pages written in handwriting that feels familiar, but not mine. The entries are rambling, desperate, talking about mirrors, copies, echoes. A name appears over and over again. Miles Davis. I don't know that name, but I feel it, like a bruise I can't see yet. The last page reads, "If you're reading this, I failed. But maybe you won't. Maybe you'll see it before it sees you. Maybe you won't blink." I close the journal, stand, walk to the window. Outside, the street is quiet, empty. A breeze moves the trash in slow, lazy spirals. And there, in the 3rd floor window across the way, I see a shape, not moving, not clear, but there, watching, waiting. It doesn't wave. Neither do I, but I feel it, like deja vu wearing skin. Like I've seen this scene before, like I've stood at this window 1,000 times. And I always forget, until it's too late. I reach for the light switch. It doesn't work. The room darkens. My reflection in the glass becomes clearer, sharpened by the dim. I look like me. I blink, and it doesn't. I smile, but I don't know why. Somewhere behind my ribs, something breathes. And I understand now. Not everything that reflects mimics. Some things remember. Some things replace. And some things were always there first.
And that was tonight's tale from the Shadowed Tales archive. If it left a mark on your mind, if the silence feels heavier now, then the story did what it was meant to do. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the darkness. New stories are always on their way. Until then, keep the lights low and the doors locked.